04. Sorry for the delay. I'd like to call our July 18th City Council meeting to order. We'll start with roll call, please.
Lane.
Here.
Ritter.
Here.
Daniels.
Here.
Murdoch.
Here.
Hannemeyer.
Here. Okay. I would invite you all to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Tonight on our consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes from our council meeting of July 3rd and approval of pay ordinance number 858A. Are there any other?
When do I amend the agenda?
Right now would be
Okay,
good.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add under new business 4H ordinance 2471, correcting a legal description that was in ordinance 2469.
I will second that amendment, that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to amend the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so the agenda is amended now. A motion to approve.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lane.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes.
Hannemeyer.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Murdoch.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. All right. Please note that Councilman Ritter's left the meeting.
I'll make a motion we approve pay ordinance 858B.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Murdoch.
Yes.
Hannemeyer.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Kevin, you come back. Our next item is call to public. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to comment about any matter relating to city business not listed on tonight's agenda. The comments that are discussed under call to public may or may not be acted on by the council during this meeting. There's a 4-minute time limit. Would anyone like to address the council tonight? Step on up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Doug Bedford, 32170 West 83rd Street in DeSoto. I'll do my best to adhere to the 4 minutes, so I'll read fast. As a member of Northwest Consolidated Fire District, the Fire Board, we wanted to come, and I know last year we came and talked to you. It may have been about this time, maybe next month or so, but we just wanted to come kind of give you an update on what the Fire District has been doing over the last year and see if you have any questions for us. Just so you know, as far as the council goes and the mayor, we do have some board members. Also, the battalion chiefs are all present in addition to Chief Maxton. So any questions that I can't answer, which would probably be a lot, I will definitely defer to the guys in the white shirts back there.
Don't worry about the 4 minutes. I will give you a little extra time.
I'll read quick, I promise you. The things that we want to bring up with Northwest Consolidated, we've gone through a significant amount of change and adversity in 2019. I'm confident, and as a board and fire district, we're very confident the entire department has become stronger, more efficient throughout the year. We had a plan of checks and balances in place within the district, and I'm also confident that these have been enhanced to the better, allowing the department to operate as a much more efficient organization. And what we wanted to do, again, talk about what has transpired in 2019, and then also what we have to look forward to in 2020. At the first, I should go ahead and apologize. We actually planned on coming a few months ago, but then as the summer started creeping up on us, and then we got into the budget, we decided to just withhold it a little bit until we can come and we can talk about budget issues also. So some of the things that have taken place in 2019. Current hiring process is underway to fill vacant positions and to also fill a new position created from the 2019 budget. I talked to Chief Maxton yesterday. We are with the hires. They had interviews yesterday, I believe, and with those hires, we're going to be fully staffed again with the fire district, which is good. Some of the significant purchases, you may have seen it if you've been to any of the fire stations. If you haven't, you may actually see it in the DeSoto Days Parade. I think they're talking about highlighting a few of the things. a 16-foot American airboat Corporation watercraft. It's a airboat, and you may have seen that parked out at the fire station. Designed for shallow water, snow, ice, or extreme weather condition rescues. One of the things that the fire department has come to us with as the board, we are the northwest cornerstone of Johnson County. We have a significant waterway that goes right here in the town, or right next to us anyway, and at their request, and the board's approval, that was one of the things that we thought that we should have is a watercraft that could get out on the river and save some lives. So well, I'll go through some of the training here pretty quick, but we have it now. Training is underway, and so everything's going good with the airboat. In addition to that, we also purchased a 15-foot Inmar inflatable boat small. It has a 30-horsepower motor. It's going to be more of a versatile boat for water rescues, recoveries, and all water conditions. That's actually down at the station, 127th and Gardner Road, thinking if they need that, possibly at Kill Creek Park, that it could have easy access and a quick response time for that. In addition to the boats, water rescue equipment, that's going to be wetsuits, dry suits for the inclement weather, ropes, water shoes, anything that you're going to need in that regard. We also purchased a new F-250 Battalion Chief vehicle designed for use as the staff command vehicle. You'll see BCs driving that around town. Much more reliable vehicle than what we've had in the past. Almost half of the Northwest Consolidated Fire District personnel have received Swift Water Rescue Technician Specialist or Technician Specialist training. So the Swift Water, again, with all the rain that we've had, paramount for what we're doing, in addition to the river being so close. With additional training in the future for the remainder of the firefighters. All Northwest Consolidated Fire personnel have received ice and water rescue technician training. So as soon as the cold weather hits here in Kansas, which we hope is sooner than later, they're going to be ready for that also. One Northwest Consolidated Fire District apparatus, a brush rig, has been dedicated to deploy across the state of Kansas in collaboration with the Johnson County Wildland Task Force. And that's if fire conditions allow for the deployment of that. What that's going to be, if there's something going on across the state of Kansas, we can deploy our apparatus in addition to staff and go and help them out if they have a severe incident across the state. The new, as you guys drive uptown on 83rd and Wea, the new bay doors and visible signage has been installed at Station 3, and that's the one at 83rd and Wea on top of the hill. Again, to continue our great relationship with the DeSoto City staff, what we're doing and what the fire district is doing is trying to work with everyone in the city combined. Commercial life safety inspection process taking place, fire hydrant testing and maintenance, all done in conjunction with the DeSoto Water Department personnel, assisting with all code enforcement throughout the city. And so it's a good collaboration that we have with the city and the Northwest Fire personnel. Station 2 remodel, and again, that's going to be the station at 127th and Gardner Road. They're in the process of getting bids right now for what needs to be done to that station. What it's going to do is expand the living quarters for the personnel, adding private bunk rooms, and the addition of another bathroom to the facility. So that's taking place. The construction hasn't started. We're still trying to get the bids in right now, but we anticipate that happening in the fall. Remodel for Station 3. This was actually, we talked about it last year. It has been completed. The reconstruction of the bathroom shower area, finalization, that was done this past year. And if you haven't seen it, I think the firefighters really appreciate that, having a much more up-to-date area for them to go to. Finalization for the installation of the Memorial Hall sign in front of the building is taking place, in addition to a new flagpole in front of that facility. So that's going to be going here pretty quick. Continue to work with DeSoto School District USD 232 on fire prevention training and providing medical standby for all sporting events at the school. Football, basketball, things like that. The fire personnel are going to be up there on site. A couple attaboys for a couple of the firefighters that we have. Brian DeVader in the state of Kansas, Veterans of Foreign Wars, was selected as the EMT of the year. And Jacob Roop, he was selected as the State of Kansas VFW Firefighter of the Year. So a couple attaboys for some of our staff right there. Northwest Consolidated Fire District Supervisors, they've started attending the University of Kansas Supervisory Leadership Training, and that's held at the Edwards campus. So that's taking place as we're going. Continuing to send personnel through advanced incident command systems training. Currently, 75% of the staff have gone to this training. So we're trying to get everyone up, but it's just all you can do is enhance their abilities whenever they go to more training. The entire department attended sexual harassment training, and this was conducted by Johnson County Government, the Human Resources Department. Chief Maxton, he accompanied other fire chiefs, the Johnson County Fire Chiefs Association, to Phoenix and Mesa, Arizona area. They did site visits focusing on providing better service to the citizens of Johnson County regarding fire service deployment. What they did is and the chief can expound upon this if you have any other questions. They just looked at similar sized cities, how they respond to incidents and things like that, and what we can do to make our services better. The firefighters and the BCs continue to perform yearly daycare inspections, ensuring the safety of all children in the DeSoto area, which is again important. Personal health, and wellness planning is currently underway. And what this is going to be doing for all the firefighters, supervisors alike, conducting physical, stress tests, lab work, anything, just to make sure there's a lot of stress in this job. And we want to make sure that we have healthy people doing the job. It's easy to take care of them now, but if we can address issues now, then that way they're going to have a much longer life, and that's what we're looking forward to. Currently, we have a third-party law firm revamping and validating all personnel policies for Northwest Consolidated Fire. And that right there was 2019. I only have one page left of 20. Does anyone have any questions or anything on 19, or do you want to? Can I keep on pushing? That sound good? Did I miss anything there for 2019 that anyone would think of? All right, 2020, and again, one of the things that we wanted to finish up was the budget. And the last meeting, the June meeting, as a board, the budget was voted on. We had a special meeting then this past Monday for the public. If they wanted to come and had questions, we actually had one person come to that meeting just to address the budget and let people know what's going on. It was passed by the board, and then it's going to go to the county, to the Board of County Commission for their vote or presentation on August 1st. Significant part of the budget, we're again, and I know Councilman Ritter, he and I have talked about this in the past, there's going to be another reduction in the mill levy for the fire department, and that's one of the things that we want to look at. The rate is going to be reduced to 19.93. That's a reduction actually from the last 2 years. In 2018, it was 21.161. So now we're into the 19. So that's what we're really liking. The key factors for the budget that we really tried to focus on that I think are the strong points for it for the fire district, again, the reduction of the mill levy. All personnel are scheduled to receive a salary market increase, which is going to be important in these times. If you can help out your staff, it's going to make them better. Northwest Consolidated is continuing to update all fire equipment in a semi-aggressive manner. And what I mean by that, we're not trying to break the bank on buying equipment, but at the same time, we're trying to follow a plan that the chief and the BCs are putting together. And if we can continue to follow that plan, we think we're going to keep all the equipment up to date like we need it. Just so you know, a new fire engine is on order. That's going to be for the Station 2, again, at 127th and Gardner Road. I know, Sean, would you have any idea? I mean, a fire engine, they don't make them overnight. It's going to be a few months down the road anyway. But it has been ordered. We got the specs for them, and so we're pretty excited about that. Plans are underway for a possible purchase of a new tender or tanker truck. We still have the one right now. It's functional, but it is somewhat outdated. But again, we just need to look at the budget and see how everything shakes out for 2020. Planned purchase of an electric or an updated extrication tool set. It's going to go hydraulic instead of battery operated, so which is going to, I think, be better for the public. The capital and the reserves accounts continue to increase, and that's one of the things. And that's one of the things that we were happy with the budget. We were still able to do the purchases, give the pay raises, drop the mill levy, but we're still trying to focus on the reserves and get them up where they need to be. Something that Chief Maxton and the BCs were really stressing in collaboration with the board, long-term strategic planning is underway at the fire district. We're looking at a 2 to 5 year plan for everything that we need to do. Equipment replacement, we've talked about a few of the items here, but that's going to be on that plan. So many years we're going to look at continuing to update fire engines. Facility upgrades, again, the one uptown with the bathroom, but then the remodel down on 127th. Personnel services, increase of firefighter and administrative personnel. And those are the things as part of the 2 to 5 year plan that we're looking at. Chief Maxton, he also asked me to extend appreciation to the fire department, from the fire department, for the support from Mayor Walker, Administrator Brungard, who attend the Johnson County Fire Services Task Force meetings with fire district leadership and board personnel at the BOC and the BOCC members semi-annually to discuss everything that's going on. So the chief sent that to me and wanted to send out his thanks in that regard. This is somewhat of an idea or kind of a little bit of a footprint on what we've been doing this year and then also what we're planning for next year. Again, 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Is that about right? Do you have any questions at all? I can maybe answer them, but again, I promise you the guys back there in the white shirts can definitely answer.
Questions from council?
No, I'll just share that Bob was here at our last meeting and shared the reduction in the rate, and I expressed my appreciation. Chief Maxton had called me a week or so before that, and we had a pretty lengthy discussion, and I think he's doing a great job.
Yep.
As a leader out there, so I just wanted to share it again.
Thank you.
Here.
Thank you for the kind words. Any other questions? Or
What
anything?
do we do when we find a bad hydrant? Do we?
That's probably a good question.
We mark it and we let Marshall know.
Okay.
We've got a whole emergency reporting. It's an online system we use for.
Okay.
We do a lot of different stuff. Our hydrant programs in there. We've given Marshall access to that, so you can see it. So you guys will write it up in there. Shoot Marshall an email.
And then you'll have it in your system and know that it's bad. That it's
Yeah, and then possibly back it out of service condition, whether it's a maintenance issue or truly out of service.
okay. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate the extension of the time.
Anyone else wish to address the council tonight under call to public? All right, seeing none, we will move on. Number 3, old business, we have none, so we'll go to number 4, new business. Number A, consider deer depredation permit for Graves 31850 West 89th Street.
Yes, council, you have been approving this permit for Mr. Graves for several years now. The reason we have it on new business is as part of the application process, the applicant is required to send letters to any adjoining properties, just simply indicating that this will be on this meeting's agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's anybody in the audience that
I can verify that he did send the letters. I did receive one, or 2 actually, one for both properties. So.
good. Hearing no objections, then
A motion. Then we need a motion to approve the deer depredation permit.
I make a motion we approve resolution number 1017.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Lane,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Hanamichael,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Murdoch,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, and then you want to do the
I
next.
make a motion we approve resolution 1018.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Hanamichael,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay. C, consider donation request from the DeSoto Scout House Fund.
Do I need to leave since I wrote it?
I think it would be appropriate, yeah, for you to recuse yourself.
I'll leave.
It's up to you. Sorry.
Go into my pocket.
All right, so you will note that Councilwoman Murdoch has left the meeting. And Mike, are you going to?
Yeah, I am. So this is a donation application. We receive several of these a year. We have a line item in our 2019 budget for this sort of thing, in addition to some other specific set-asides that we include in that line item budget. This one comes to us from the DeSoto Scout House Fund. Basically, it's a fund that basically for the preservation and upkeep of the Scout House, which is on Wea Street, just north of 83rd Street. They're looking to do some exterior improvements, mostly painting and some trim work, repairs to that facility. They have a bid of $1,800 for that. Our maximum donation that we're allowed to give is $1,000. So when you look at our policy, which I've kind of outlined here in the staff report, it does give a list of criteria. There's 8 of them there. I've done a review of those. I think that the organization in this particular activity does meet that the intent and the letter of those criteria there. The line item in our budget does, as I mentioned, set aside several specific donations to specific entities. So when you look at the total snapshot of where we are currently with that fund, starting at $10,000, setting aside $4,380 for the specific set asides, and then we've already approved 2 donations this year, actually 3, to the Caw Valley Sportsmen, the Soto alumni, and the city clerk. We're left with $3,200 remaining in the donation account. I did list some past year's donations, just as just for information. These aren't allocated, of course, this year, but these are the groups that have come to us in the past several years. So the amount of the donation is actually up to the council's discretion, and I'll try to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from council?
No, I'll make a motion. We make a $1,000 donation to the DeSoto Scout House Fund.
Second.
All right, is there, we have a motion saying, any discussion of the motion?
It looks like they're trying to raise 1,800. They've applied for 1,000, and that's typically what we've been looking for. I didn't know if we want to consider, since it is a matter of aesthetics in the community, to meet what they're trying to raise, or stick with the 1,000.
I don't have any issue with that. When he said it was the maximum, I just took that for the maximum. So
I'd probably stick with the maximum.
Okay.
Then
I thought the same thing, but when he said maximum,
then future
Okay.
decisions are easier. We're not wondering each time what.
Okay, that's fine with me. I was just worth throwing it
Yeah.
out there is all.
no, I wanted the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ritter,
Yes.
Hanamichael,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay. We have a pretty new scout house. Good. All right.
Go find Lori.
Yeah.
Now we need to go find Mike. Can you go
Yeah.
find Mike?
Yeah.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, moving on. Our next item, consider bids for electrical repairs to lights at the Sunflower Ball Field.
Yes, Council, this is an item that's come up this summer. When we lease our ball fields out to groups to practice on, they pay for certain time slots with the ball fields, and some of those time slots go into the evening hours. So we do provide lighting on those. This particular problem only affects the southern ball field out at the Sunflower Complex. Since the installation of those lights, I think it's been more than 10 years ago, the only way to turn them on is to enter.
Lick your finger and stick it in the socket.
No, that lights your cell phone. But coaches have to enter this caged area with this caution electricity sign on it and go up to these breaker panels, open them up, and flip a breaker switch to turn the lights on. Well, breaker switches aren't meant to be switching
Switches.
all the time. So as a result, it's the main fuse, the main breaker in one of these panels has essentially failed. And so the lights on the south ball field are not currently working. We are reaching the end of the season that we rent those ball fields, and so it hasn't caused a problem. We're able to shift practice times earlier in the day, so there's still daylight. But we do need to get the situation resolved, repair the breaker, and also provide a switching mechanism that is appropriate and outside of that fence. So Jay obtained 2 bids for that work. The low bid came in at $69.50, and that was from Certified Electric. So if you're okay with that proposal, authorize me to do that. We'll take this money out of Jay's budget, whether he likes it or not.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
And I will enthusiastically second it, having been in a position of having to deal with those lights in the dark. So
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Roll. Okay.
Mike, would you just make sure that those panels are labeled correctly to the NFPA 70E?
To
Those
the
guys work on
to the NFPA what?
70E. Or any other.
All right.
Certainly.
Are they still going to be padlocked and in that enclosure, or
No, the switches will be outside of the fence.
But they will be secure.
They will be secure.
Okay. It's a great fix.
Roll call, please.
Lane,
yes?
Daniels.
Yes.
Hanamichael.
yes,
Ritter,
Yes.
Murdoch.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Number E, consider temporary use permit for DeSoto Half Marathon.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. What you have before you is a temporary use permit for the Soto Half Marathon and 5K. Now, typically, we've moved the temporary use permits to the consent agenda. However, this was a first-time event for this item, and it does take up a significant amount of DeSoto streets as far as length, especially at the half marathon. So, Mike and I felt it would be best to bring it to the council for a full review of the items that we're going to go through. Derek Tate is sponsoring this and organizing it. He is here tonight, so if you've got any specific questions about how many runners and the nexus for this event, I will certainly defer to him. As far as the review that we do, it's pretty standard. As far as a public event, it does need to go before council since it's going to be on city streets. They have coordinated with USD 232 for use of the parking lot, and utilities will be supplied at the school. They will use a portable generator for a DJ and some lighting effects and items that will be out at the event for runners. As far as parking traffic control, there will be volunteers and signs. They will need to coordinate with the Johnson County Sheriff's Department. I'll let Mr. Tate talk about his efforts with that and how some of those areas will be, policed, if you will. There'll be volunteers to do the site cleanup. I mentioned utilities. There will be portable toilets out at the school. And I said that there'll be some noise, but there will be really a DJ, and there'll be some light music playing. I've done a few of these runs myself, and it's not a loud rock and roll band. It's just more of sort of background music and very sort of part of the event structure. As far as the procedure, the applicant, he has paid for the event. The $50 application fee does need to be approved by the council. The date for this is October 6th. We'll start at 8 in the morning and probably finish up around noon. If you have any questions, I'll certainly stand for those, and Mr. Tate is here as well.
Questions from council or questions of the applicant? Fire away.
83rd Street, the access to my house.
Mm-hmm.
During the time when the half marathon and the 5K are going to happen, will residents who need to depart from their property to get on 83rd Street to go where they may need to go on that day, are they going to have access to that, or are they not going to have access for several hours during that day? Oh, you will have access. Typically, what I've experienced in these runs is they'll there might be a sheriff's deputy out there. If there's a lot of runners, they'll stop traffic, but they'll always defer to people that need to come and go. Mhm. Yeah, and I guess at your point, where you might be coming and going on that, I mean, it's going to be towards the end of the race. There'll be some gaps between the runners. I guarantee you that. So,
How many runners do you anticipate?
Really haven't marketed it.
Approved?
I would like 300. Right now it's not much.
Yeah.
It's not many runners. It's friends and family right now.
All right.
Is this just is this a fundraising event for a certain cause?
Portion of the proceeds will go to the Pancreatic Cancer Patients in Need Fund.
Okay. Okay. And you've done marathons, put on marathons? Not run, well,
First half marathon we put on.
but you've put on.
A couple small 5Ks.
Okay.
But I actually own a company. We're due time.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Okay. And were you the famous DeSoto runner?
I guess.
Yeah. What's the, his name's on the
He's in
board
the
a
Hall
lot.
of Fame
Yeah.
at the high
In the
school.
Hall of Fame at the high school. Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions?
How's it going to be marketed? So you get money? So John's County Park. Okay. So I'll hit up all the runs down there.
so if I had relatives who love to run 5Ks and stuff, I should let them know that on board.
Bring him to town.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a
Yeah.
brother how would he get the information to the website? How does he
It is on the website. If you just actually Google right now, just half marathon. It's the very first.
I make a motion, we approve the temporary use permit with the following stipulations. All of those that are written down. Patrick?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion, questions? All right, roll call, please.
Mayor,
Yes.
Murdoch,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Hanamichael.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Good luck. Now, we are going to talk about number 4F, discuss final draft of comprehensive plan update.
All right, thank you, Mayor. We're finally now at the point where we can have a final draft discussion. We did go through this with the Planning Commission at our previous meeting. I actually scrubbed it pretty hard. At one point, we were going page by page. That was kind of an interesting endeavor, but we did make it through in a reasonable amount of time that night. As far as the items in there, there's still some formatting, some pagination things that we're still got to get some of the kinks worked out on. But I guess we just want to get your opinions on the overall direction of the document, some of the language that's in there, and just focus on the overall verbiage. The maps have been are updated, complete. We did add a bike and pedestrian map from the last time that we had talked about this item. So that's something new for you to take a look at. The Planning Commission didn't make any significant changes. It was just mostly a lot of sort of procedural and, like I said, we did get into some details on some verbiage, some minor items, but overall, I think the direction of the Planning Commission was that they were supportive of the document as presented. So with that, I guess I'll just open up for any discussion you might have. Mike, if you've got something.
Yeah,
you'd
I
like
can
to
add just a little bit, just based on kind of my recollection of the work session that we had between the council and planning commission. There were several items, action items that we wanted to address with the revisions. We didn't particularly highlight those. Many of those were in chapter 4 relating to land use, future land use plan. One of the things that comes to my mind was the discussion about the definition of mixed use. Remember at the work session, there was some confusion as to whether mixed use meant kind of a broader, more permissive, almost anything goes sort of category, or does it mean that uses in that area must be mixed? You have to have a mix of residential and commercial and what have you. The conclusion to that was that it was really the former. The intent is more sort of a loosening of the strict definitions and to allow more of a variety of the types of uses. I don't want to say an anything goes sort of we'll know it when we see it sort of use, but that was kind of the conclusion of that. And if you look at the map, I'm going to make sure
You could color the whole thing purple.
well, no.
No? Okay.
You could. But you'll see that the mixed use is kind of I call it purple here, but you'll see that it's essentially the next fringe away from these nodes. So at the nodes, we're thinking commercial here, higher intensity, making use of the highest and best use of the traffic. And then a node out from that is sort of a mixed use. And then out from that will be the residential, the higher density residential. So if you look at just this interchange there at Kill Creek and K10, it's a very standard, traditional sort of bullseye look to that, where you're focusing your intense uses along the highway interchange and then less intense and then less, and then eventually you get out here to the lower density stuff. It's a little more complicated scenario as we go, and we've discussed this from an economic development standpoint, and we've shown non-residential uses in this area between Lexington and Sunflower Road and between K10 and 103rd Street. We've shown that area transitioning from what is now a rural residential area to what will become a not residential area in the future. This sort of concept has been reflected in our future land use plans for at least 20 years. And we are making concrete steps to head that direction. And we've talked about some of that as recently as Saturday in our retreat. So that concept moves forward here, with this whole area between 103rd and K10 and even out to Edgerton Road, with the exception really of this residential node in the middle. We hadn't previously really been able to identify the next big residential area for the city. And this area here is shown, and this is west of Sunflower and east of Edgerton Road, as one that the topography here is a little less conducive to commercial uses. It is a little more removed from the interchanges. It's harder to serve with public, with sewer and urban type infrastructure. So you do have a node of higher density residential in that area. The other thing I wanted to point out, we noticed this I think on Saturday, is this solid yellow box here. It needs to be light gray. Brad, I've made a note of that. I meant to get it changed for tonight, but I didn't. That's the Merck's farm campus, the one off of 87th Street. So it needs to be a light gray. Otherwise, that would be a massive block of residential that we could point to, but it's really not. So, again, a reminder that we are including these land use definitions for the Sunflower property, and we're going all the way down to 127th Street, really, with those. And these blocks down here you'll see are much larger in scale than sort of the blocks of color that we show in through the rest of the community. And that really is kind of a reflection of the scale of the property out there and some of the possibilities, but also I think a recognition that we can't we have to be broad brush in the planning of this area at this time. And we heard in this room yesterday heard an update from the Corps of Engineers about just the environmental remediation that still needs to take place on that property is still 9 years out until they're completely clean. So recognizing that, these are broad brushes out here. But at the same time, we have in other parts of the document in the utility section shown how we're going to provide sewer service to this area, and we've shown that we're going to provide water service, and we show how the roads go through. Really is a pretty definitive statement, I think, that this is our DeSoto flag we're planting out here. And we see this Sunflower property, whether it happens 10 years from now or 50 years from now as a very logical extension of the city of DeSoto and nothing else. And, that's almost a political statement, and probably try not to do that here in the context of a comprehensive plan, but there are other ideas for that property floating around, and we've seen them on the front page of the Kansas City Star one Sunday morning. And to me, this is our way of showing that we think that's going to be DeSoto, and we're prepared. We're prepared to make that happen. So that's on the future land use stuff. Another thing I wanted to draw your attention to, I think it was at the work session, we talked about these in the public transportation, redoing these cross sections to include bike lanes, and I just didn't have time to get to those, and I will before the final version. So those will include bike lanes. We might even also have a little more stronger language about complete streets in here. We did include some based on the last discussion. There are some I don't know if complete streets is in here, but we strengthened the language about bicycle and pedestrian, the importance of bicycle and pedestrian planning. Like Brad said, we added this bicycle and pedestrian map to the comprehensive plan. But these cross sections will be changed to reflect that, and maybe some of the language in there too. The new map that we added, a lot of these utility maps are at the back of Chapter 5, and you've seen them all, except for one. And I'm not sure I'm completely satisfied with. So this is a future roadway map. This is really future transportation. It might need a title change, but this really focuses on roadway corridors here, arterials, collectors, either existing or future. But then the next map is the bike and pedestrian map. The cartography on this one probably could be improved a bit. It gets a bit confusing here. There's bike routes shown. There's future trail loops shown. There's existing pedestrian avenues shown. There's just a lot going on here. But this is the attempt at showing the emphasis on a pedestrian network, both from a recreational standpoint and from a utilitarian standpoint and transportation standpoint. That's an emphasis that we want to put, and that springs right out of the Parks and Rec Master Plan discussion we had, where the trails are, from a recreational standpoint, trails are very popular, but also just from a transportation standpoint, sidewalks and corridors are also a focus for us moving forward. So I'll stop there. That was just kind of a few things I wanted to draw your attention to.
Questions from council? Comments? So, issues as far as formatting, I don't know, spelling, those.
We still need to proofread it very
Final
thoroughly.
proofreading will come.
Yeah, we still will do that.
Not
Formatting
that I
too.
found any spelling. I mean, just
Well, yeah. They are to be found if you look. So we'll clear all those up, and of course the next step would be to call the public hearing, and that I think we're anticipating that in August, Brad. At the August
Yeah, it'll be at our next meeting.
Planning committee.
Planning Commission meeting will have the public hearing to
Yeah.
present the final version of the comprehensive plan.
Right. And of course, at that time, we'll have whatever final revisions need made. We'll
So if
make
there's a public hearing coming up on it, is it appropriately accessible to the public at this time? Is this draft on the website?
Good point. We could make it more prominent on the website. We could do a better job with that for sure. Yeah. It's one of the newsflash things at the bottom of the main page, and I'm not sure if this current version is on there or not.
No, it is not at this point. I mean, I didn't upload it, so.
Okay. I don't think I have in the last couple months, so. Yeah, I think that's something we could do.
Good idea.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Some of these arterials, do they line up with the counties as well?
we tried on that. You're looking at that map.
Yeah, I was looking at
5-1.
this Waverly one particular. Just wondering if it, because it's
Yeah, for
still
the
gravel and thin on one area. I didn't know if it lined up with theirs in the future.
Yeah, so what we tried to do is line them up, and the map shows if it's a solid line, then it's on an existing alignment. But if it's a dotted line, then that may be that's where a road, it doesn't exist today. And we also referenced the county's future arterial road network plan and aligned what we've got here
Yeah,
with that, with the exception of Kill Creek Road. I'm not sure they ever really changed their formal alignment from a quarter mile west, but
from like their
Separate.
115th Street concept.
yeah, we never really bought into that.
I'm good. That's
Okay.
Okay. Any action from us tonight? Just information? What do you want?
Just information. Yeah, I'll defer to Brad. What do we need?
Yeah, well, actually, just so any comments that you might have or additions, because I do want to advertise for the public hearing. So we'll need to get any kind of comments you have at this point included in the document prior to our planning commission meeting. So over the next week or so, if you take a look at it and you see some things you want some clarification on, please let me or Mike know.
All right. So get any comments you have back to them before our next meeting. Right?
Well, it needs to be before the planning commission meeting and I guess before planning commission packets go out. So
Before next
Before
Friday.
mid-August.
yeah, second week of August. How's that?
All right. Okay. Number G, approve 2020 budget hearing notice.
Yes, council, this is a continuation of our budget process. I think we talked about the final draft of the budget at the last council meeting. Our tasks left to complete on that is a public hearing for the budget adoption. And if you look at the the calendar that we have laid out in the staff report, that budget hearing will occur on August 15th. Because we are due to submit the state budget forms to the county by the 23rd. And so we're working back from this. We have to get the information to the legal record in time to have it published 20 days prior to that. So that's the action item tonight, is essentially to approve what is in Exhibit B, and that's the official notice of budget hearing. This is a form that comes straight from the state that we use every year. Basically, what it does is it sets the maximum amount of tax that we can collect from property taxes in 2019. So we could still adjust our budget accounts up or down, here or there. We can still have some adjustment to the budget, but we can't collect, after tonight, if we approve this, we can't collect any more tax than what is shown on the proposed budget for 2020. Incidentally, we also have a mill levy reduction of 0.197 mils from 2019. So the budget hearing, this notice will set the budget hearing for August 15th.
Okay.
So I'm asking for approval.
Authorization,
of the notice.
approval to publish the
Approval of
notice.
the budget notice, yeah.
All right. Any questions or a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the notice of the budget hearing, even though it says herein on the thing. It says herein.
second.
All right. We have a motion and a
Correction of
second.
the G.
Any discussion of the motion?
Second.
Daniels. All right. Not roll call, please.
Michael,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Murdoch.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna check those. That's straight. I won't say any. Yeah, I think that comes straight from the state.
It might, herein. Maybe
Herein.
it's a herein, not
Yeah, it's an informal
Hearing.
thing. It's a hearing.
it's just a hearing. Well, then I was thinking,
and you can't.
well, then
mess
I was
with
thinking
it.
maybe it's supposed to be here in, like this is the
Here
budget
in.
here in this,
Or here.
not
Budget hearing.
here. Like, but then it'd be spelled different also.
All right.
I will check. I have it misspelled statewide.
Yeah. So we will move on. 4H. Ordinance to correct a legal description within ordinance 2469.
Yeah, I could make that motion. We approve ordinance 2471, correcting 2469.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Michael.
Yes.
Murdoch.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes.
Lane. Motion carries.
This was not a planning item. I don't vote on this.
Correct.
No. Okay. That concludes our new business. Executive session, we have none.
Oh.
Advisory reports. Mike?
Just a couple things, council. Exciting day on Monday. We took possession of our new public works facility at 9620 Lexington Avenue. I was able to take Danny on a little tour during the 20 minutes of time that the electricity had been turned off because it transferred from them to us. So we walked through a semi-dark building, but and they didn't clean up exactly when they left. But fantastic facility for us, exactly what we needed. Saved us $1 million on a CIP in 3 years of angst and agony of operating out of the existing facility on Shawnee Street. Street department at this time of year is absolutely neck deep in road work, so they're not really in a position to rush out and move in. And I think we want to do it a little bit more deliberately anyway, to just, we need to internally have these discussions about what's going where, and maybe put a coat of paint out there and do some other stuff before we move in. So we're going to take our time moving in. I would target probably the end, Brad.
No, Ron and I talked about this fall.
Oh, this fall. Well, that's pretty leisurely.
Yeah, well, I mean.
We need to have a party is what I'm getting at.
Oh, okay, the party part of it.
I would like a party sometime around before the end of August, maybe sometime with sort of the end of August, maybe. Yes, that's a hard deadline, by the way. So yeah, right, yeah. So all three of these things kind of come together: the improvements at the water treatment plant, lab, and office work there, and the completion of the water distribution building by the water tower, and then the acquisition of this. We're thinking one big party around the end of August to kind of celebrate all those. Maybe
We can have remotes at the other two facilities and then cut it at the public works, so we'll have our big TV out there, a camera at each one, and
the idea is, we could just
No, we don't work at TVs.
use the technology and our high-speed internet.
Right. Good plan.
Okay, I plan.
Well, we'll work through the details.
Work out
as
those
we get
details.
closer. As we get closer. So anyway, we're excited about all those things. The other thing, we are still taking applications for a communications director position. We're narrowing the field down. We've received more than 170 applications, and most of those were online. I think about at least half of them were just kind of click and submit, even though I don't really meet the criteria. But we've narrowed it down to about a dozen people. I'm not sure if I want to do a dozen interviews, but it's kind of hard to narrow down any further. I've asked Patrick and Bonnie to help me out with that, with the interview, the selection process there. My aim is to have somebody on board by the end of the month, so we have really only a couple of weeks to get that working. Fantastic applications. I mean, hard to believe some of the qualifications that some of these folks that submitted are really impressive. So I'm anxious to sit down and talk with them, meet with them, get to know them a little better. I wish we had 5 positions for this that we could fill, because I think we could fill all 5 with the people we have. So won't be an easy decision. And that was it from me.
Okay. Patrick?
Only thing I had, Council, you recall at the last meeting on the consent agenda, we scheduled hearings on a couple of solid waste delinquent accounts. One of them paid up, Mr. Mitchell, but I'm just going to reflect in the minutes. I don't see Adam Imes.
Is Adam Imes in the audience? No. Okay.
So I'll reflect that in the minutes, so that takes care of that. That's all I had.
Okay. Brad?
I'm gonna follow up a little bit on what Mike said. The October date that I mentioned was more to try to get the street department moved in by then. Ron and I were talking this morning, in this edition before addition to that, the street crew's been out there overlaying Rick Farr right now. Their elbows and most projects and they despaired really. So thinking about moving that, so we're gonna have to kind of put together a plan of where things go and when we can bite off some pieces here and there as far as getting the facility moved. So that's kind of something that's way on us. Also, we're gonna have to seal silver started blowing out the cracks instead of sealing cracks. Next week, we'll be actually sealing a lot of streets. Certainly, Oak Street. Interior work out the water plant. Got the punch list today. They have our walk through tomorrow. Get the floor has burned. Water distribution building. Base work done for asphalt parking. We best bids that I have on the council.
Okay.
Signage on those buildings too. Yeah, we're working on. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Brad. Council comments. Danny, would you like to start tonight?
Don't have anything, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Kevin?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Nothing tonight.
Lori?
I just want to applaud us for our hard work at the whatever you want to call it, the planning session on Saturday. I think everybody did a good job working together on that. We've got a lot of stuff that we have for future plans for the city, and now we just really got to work hard to at least start them. We'll see how they all go. But so thank you, Mike, for arranging that again, and I think it turned out pretty good as far as what we
thanks to everybody.
accomplished.
I mean, that's a whole
So,
Saturday that everybody gave
Yeah.
up, and that's really a commitment to
Yeah. So,
people.
and I think that's all I have right now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Kevin?
I have no report.
All right. I have one thing, two things. One is, so it's timely that the firemen were here because I got a report from a citizen and I told him to contact Doug again, but they said they've had an out of service on their on a hydrant by their property for a year, over a year. That's why I asked what. So I wanted to find out what our schedule is for dealing with these, these hydrants out of service. How do we manage that work? And
Yeah. Well, and I almost mentioned while they were here that to my knowledge, we had I think dozens of them out of service the first round, and to my knowledge, up until this year, I thought we had taken care of all of them, but evidently not. So I need to find out where.
all right,
I thought we'd taken care of all the actual out of service ones.
I'll try and get you an actual address.
Yeah,
Talk to
yeah.
Doug about it.
I know Marshall's very plugged into that process, and my charge to him was to make sure that we, if we know about them, let's get them on a. I know we replaced 5 or 6 of them last year.
Okay. And then the sunflower meeting, we had a big turnout for the public meeting last night with the sunflower update down in the senior center. I don't know, 80 people, what do you think, Lori?
Probably. Wow. Yeah, it was a good turnout.
Yeah. But long and short, that Mike said in the earlier one, is 2028. So before the Army's planning to be done right now at current funding levels and production, and then whoever does it is going to have their own cleanup to do with like buildings that remain and before things are marketable. So it's still a ways off. So, but we still need to plan for it. Like I agree 100% that that's in our future plans. So we need to know where we think things ought to be. So. I think even though it's maybe a ways down the road, we are right to plan for that future event. And
Well, especially, Mayor, since it sounds like Johnson County has a plan for it of their own from the way they made it sound. Now, I don't know because I've
They
never
do.
talked to anybody. And so they have their plan. And if we haven't, and, you know, obviously it's really is part of DeSoto. It's connected to DeSoto. It's all of DeSoto. But if we don't make that our plan, you know,
Yeah.
it's very close to Olathe or other Johnson counties too. So I think you're right, Mayor, in keeping a finger on it at least and keeping it in front of them and talking to the county commissioners about
Yeah, I think that
it
is a good next step.
at all times. Just,
I will.
you know, maybe a group to, you know.
I'll have a meeting coming up with Mike Brown, our county commissioner for our area, and I will. I have before plugged him in.
Yeah.
You know that they probably need to rethink that plan and that cleanup philosophy. You know that
Yeah.
all or nothing doesn't really make sense to develop a 9,000 acre
Right.
parcel. You know.
What was interesting for me is the part that, so once in hopefully 9 years, so it was 2028 or yeah, 2028 when the Army would be done with their share, that in my mind still doesn't mean Sunflower redevelopment is going to be done with their share as far as it.
Right.
So what the county is going to allow, I mean, even just the part with the parks and stuff, or just
Yeah.
the areas, you know, the Army's like, oh, well, we'll have
Exactly.
this part done, like, you know, pretty soon. This bottom, I mean,
Yeah,
that's what the
I
guy
think-
told me. He's like, this part here will be ready to go here pretty soon. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, well, that,
Because that
you
could
know,
be critical to like getting 95th Street Trailway
Right.
connected to Kill Creek Park. I really
Yeah.
see no reason why,
yeah,
if that's out of their
yeah,
danger zone, you know.
right. So there's a lot of that with the county and
Yeah.
getting the county to look at it and just knowing that it could be another 10 years before the Sunflower redevelopment gets their share of what they're going to be responsible, which is any pesticides that are left or any of the buildings that are left, because that's not part of this cleanup part.
Right.
So anyway, it was really an interesting meeting. I was glad I went.
It brought out some interesting people.
It really did. It really did. Yeah.
All right.
You guys were there last night, were you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think of it? Yeah. Yeah, it was good, huh? Yeah. No, it's
It's
county.
unincorporated Johnson County.
It's unincorporated Johnson County.
We would have to
Correct.
annex it, right?
Not necessarily. I don't know if there's been any talk.
It's
Right.
in our comprehensive.
Big part of the long-term comprehensive plan. So
Right.
it seems to me, you guys really are interested in it, but we're waiting for the
Well,
Army Corps of Engineers to get their thing done before.
well, yeah, because it's a big piece of land that we don't necessarily need it right at this. I don't know what we
Yeah.
are supposed to say or not say. I think it's
Yeah, I don't
You
know
know.
if we want it before the Corps is done
I mean-
cleaning your environmental remediation.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is, can't be a carve out either.
No.
Yeah.
Not at this point, anyway.
And there's that whole route thing that they're talking about, is that part of that area? Highway?
A highway. There is a plan floated that would take a highway through that property. Yes.
Is that considered in the comprehensive or long-term planning process? Positive?
We haven't shown that. It's not shown on our future transportation or future land use map.
I don't
Yeah.
know that that's in the
It's-
county's official plan.
No, it's
either.
not. I mean, it's an idea that comes up when you talk about sunflower. I mean, but that's really as
Right.
far as it officially is right now.
Oh, sure. Now I would entertain.
I
a
would like
motion.
to make a motion. We adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.